What's up, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are fresh off that Jared Anderson Charles Martin fight. Shout out to everyone that was here for the live commentary video I did. Salute to everyone. Not a huge crowd. I know I kind of got on later than everybody else that was live tonight, but salute to everyone that came through anyway, man. First of all, the fight was ended up being a really, really good fight. Ended up being more competitive than most people thought it would be. Okay, I only actually gave Charles Martin one round, all right, but it doesn't mean that he was dominant per se because he had a lot of moments. A lot of those rounds were close. I wouldn't call it swing rounds. I think maybe there was maybe one other round that kind of was close. I think it was maybe the I don't know if it was the seventh or eighth round, but what I will say is that outside of the fifth round, which was an extremely dominant round from Charles Martin, hurting Jared Anderson continuously throughout the round, couldn't put him down, but he continued to hurt him. I think Jared Anderson was hurt for the majority of that round, and you can make a solid point in saying that that should have been a 10-8 round, but even without a knockdown. I don't think Charles Martin actually won any other rounds. I think there were moments in certain rounds where Charles Martin was doing well, but I still think Jared Anderson was more consistent in every other round. The last round, the 10th round, yes, this fight did go to distance. The first time that Jared Anderson, I believe, went past six rounds. I don't think he's been up past 6 rounds before this fight. I think the 10th round, for example, was around the last round where Jared Anderson was clearly winning the round throughout the whole round. And in the last 5 seconds, 6 seconds of the round, he gets clipped with a big shot from Charles Martin, hurts him, gave him the noodle legs a little bit. And, Jerry Anderson was able to survive and, you know, make the bell, and that the fight was over. Uh, I just was on live with a lot of y'all, so I'm already hearing the reactions. People saying that he was overrated. Some people even saying he was trash. Some people thinking that all of these guys can beat him now because of this one performance. You got to remember, I think he still won just about every round in the fight. I think what I don't even want to say that he got exposed. What I will say is that the flaws that were there prior to this fight were exposed in this fight. And what I mean by that is not him as a fighter completely, but him as so many issues that I think some of the flaws that he has. I think the biggest flaw is mental, not really his ability. It's mental. I've noticed that in other fights that as soon as a fighter catches him with a good shot, he likes to just start to fight recklessly, and I think he needs to let that go. Okay. This is the heavyweight division. This is boxing. You're fighting at a higher level now. You're fighting against former champions or guys that's been in there with former champions. Charles Martin's a former champion. You winning the entire first round. If you get caught with a good shot in the end of the round, you don't need to go into brawl mode. Okay? Guys like him, good counter punchers, they're going to take advantage of that later. It's not going to get any easier from here. So you got to continue to fight smart. If you're winning, if you're technically beating a fighter, outboxing a fighter, why do you have to go into a brawl mode and reckless mode once you get hit with a good shot? You don't need to be embarrassed. It's about winning the fight. Stop being into pleasing. And he's not just doing this because he's fighting in the home crowd, because I've seen him do it against Jerry Forrest. It worked for him and Jerry Forrest because Jerry Forrest just didn't have the ammunition to go blow to blow with Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson was just too big, too strong, too powerful. Jared Forrest is not that kind of guy. So I thought he would fight smarter against Jerry Forrest, but as soon as like things got going, he just went into, you know, going blow to blow with him, and it worked out for him in that fight. But once you start getting up to like this level and above this level of Charles Martin, you can't be that reckless. You just can't. You're gonna get clipped with a good shot, and you're gonna get dominated. You're gonna get hurt. All right. So I think the ego thing is the biggest issue. Stop trying to be flashy. Stop just trying to be, there's nothing wrong with being dominant and wanting to get the stoppage, but be smart. And what I saw in Jared Anderson is that he is an intelligent fighter. He can fight with intelligence. He can box well. He can switch. He can give us all kind of different angles. Love the combination. Love the pot shots. You know what I mean? Love the counter punching. I love the way he puts his punches together. I like a lot of things that he do. You know what I mean? I think he has solid reflexes. I do think he needs to improve on his defense. But being such an aggressive fighter, is when the more aggressive you are and the more of a volume puncher you are, the more likely you are to get countered by some good counter punches. So that comes with it. So I think his defense needs to be improved, but I think mentally, get rid of the ego. You know what I mean? That fifth round before he got hurt, I was saying to you guys, yo, fight intelligent. Stop trying to get into these brawls. Stop trying to be flashy. Stop trying to showboat before you get hurt, because Charles Martin is serious. He's still in this fight. And the moment I said that, 30 seconds later, he gets hurt bad in the fifth round. And he kept getting hurt to a point where I was scared that he was going to lose and get dropped or get stopped. You know what I mean? So he needs to focus on that. So outside of the ego issue, maybe some improvements in his defense, of course. Honestly, I don't really think there's much wrong with his game. But moving forward, and what I will say, and I think this is probably the most important part, he did an interview with Roy Jones. He's done interviews recently talking about retirement at early 27. Okay. He did an interview, and I said, all right, cool, young guy, 23 years old, thinking about how he wants to plan for the future, what he wants to do. Talked about the pressure of fighting. I get it. I think when I first saw that, I said, okay, he's 23 years old. There's things that we want to do when we're 23 years old. And then when we're 27 years old or 30 years old, life changes. The way we thought when we were 23 doesn't necessarily happen when we're 27, So I didn't take nothing major out of that. You know what I mean? But then I saw the Roy Jones interview, and he went really deep into the stress and the pressures of boxing. I got very emotional during that interview. And I saw that, I said, all right, he's serious. This is a lot of weight on him. Being 23 years old, people have extremely high expectations of you. Being an American, there's not a lot of good American heavyweights. Wilder, Ruiz, these guys are up there. They've been around for a long time. Once you remove them out of the equation, there's really no one else. You know what I mean? There's no one else for us to really be excited about. The weight is on your shoulders. And I said this in my live. We got Gerald Miller, we got Steven Shaw, we got Jermaine Franklin. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one to really be excited about. No disrespect to those guys, but they're just all okay. Jared Anderson has shown us that he's clearly the most talented out of all those guys. But when it comes to the world, I don't know yet. I don't know. It's not going to get easier from here. I say all that to say this. The fight was over. They went back to the locker rooms, and I was on live. And Jared Anderson stood out for a long time. He hugged and shook a lot of fans' hands, This is way after the broadcast was still on, but everybody had left the arena. There was some people that stayed. You could see the seats are empty. He's still shaking hands. You know, he loves where he's from. And he loves being that guy, you know, and supporting his friends, his fans. And it's good to see that. But there was a camera in his locker room that showed him. And I think he was being comforted by his mother. I believe it was his mother. I'm thinking it's his mother. He's sitting on the couch. And the way he looked, it looked like he just lost his first fight. He looked like he was about to cry. He looked like he was about to break down. And that interview that he did talking about retirement at 27 was the first sign. The Roy Jones interview was the second. But that, he's serious about the pressure. I don't think he wants that pressure. And it's kind of weird because personality-wise, when he's coming to the ring with the pimp cane and the mascot thing tonight, he knows how to put on a show. He's an entertainer. But outside of the ring, he's going through the anxiety, the pressure of being the next big thing. And at 23 years old, it's understandable. But maybe it's not really for him. You know, I think he's doing what he should. I think he's doing what he thinks he should do. I don't mean when it comes to winning or losing and just performing as a boxer. I mean, I think him being this potential superstar, the next big thing, and just being the celebrity part of it, I think is getting to him too. You know, I'm sure there's pressure of actually, you know, not wanting to lose and disappoint everybody. I get that. I think that's a normal thing that a lot of these guys go through. But I think certain fighters handle it better. Like, I think all of these other guys, that's like, you got Shakur Stevenson that was there. I think Devin Haney is another guy. I think a lot of these guys are welcoming that lifestyle. You know, all of these guys are from places where a lot of people are depending on them to succeed. So I understand that. I can actually relate to that a little bit. You know, when everybody thinks you are, you know, the leader of that generation of family or whatever. But his is on a different level. I mean, you're famous. So being famous alone is just, I don't even know what that's like. What I will say is that he needs to let go of doing what he needs to find a way. And I know it sounds easier said than done, but he needs to find a way to do it as something that he loves and stop doing it with the weight of his shoulders. You know what I mean? He needs to find a way to just do it and let go. Like, if you love boxing, if you still love the fight, it seems like even with the times of him getting hurt, it seems like he still enjoys it while he's in there. I don't feel like I see the mental weakness in the ring. But when he's out of the ring, he needs to find a way to let go of the pressure of everybody else. And that's easier said than done, because not everybody can manage that responsibility. You know what I mean? I guess I'm going so deep into it only because as not just because it's relatable, but the pressure is real because there's no one else, and I don't think he wants that responsibility. But in order for you to make the kind of money that you want, to get out the game as early as you want to, all eyes are going to be on you. You know, and I think he's just going to have to do it, man. You know, but he's going to have to find, you know, see therapy. Get a therapist. Talk it out. You know. But one good thing I will say is that I don't see that in the ring. You know what I mean? I don't see it in the ring. He looks like he's having fun while he's in there. All right. And even though he got hurt a few times, I still give him credit for not going down. Some people are going to be disappointed because Charles Martin has been stopped by Luis Ortiz. AJ obviously got him out of there quick. All right. He went the distance, and, that's okay. What I will say is, and this will be the last thing, some people are very powerful. Some people look like freaking knockout artists until they start leveling up and finding better fighters with better chins. It's kind of like Keith Thurman. You know what I mean? It's like Keith Thurman was stopping everybody. But then when you started fighting the elite fighters in the division, or not even the elite, but some of the better fighters in the division, that power, which I still believe Keith has, you're not going to stop everybody with that power now. Because now all those guys been through other fighters with power. He looked like he had devastating knockout power until he started fighting some real dudes. And I think Jared Anderson, he needs to learn, and I think maybe this could be a change for the better, or it could be a change for the worse. Because I think people are going to be more willing to want to face him after seeing that. That's like a lot of other guys that they look dangerous until they have that one fight where they don't look that great. Like Zhilei Zhang for Philip Hrgovic. Philip Hrgovic looked dominant in every fight until he had that fight. Then he just looked okay, or some people thought he lost the fight. 8 people ducked that guy before that fight was Zhang, and Zhang fought him, and some people think Zhang won the fight. You know what I mean? You think people are going to be running from Joe Joyce after seeing him get knocked out by Zhang? No. Or stopped by Zhang? No. So now, people that didn't want to fight you before, they're going to be knocking on your door now. You know why? Because skills-wise, still think he looks good. Power-wise, though, Charles Martin ate all those big shots, and he took a lot of them. But Ortiz was able to get him out of there. Joshua was able to get him out of there easy. I don't think his power meets up to some of these other guys that are real heavy hitters. Those top 10 guys, some of those guys can really punch at an elite level. You know what I mean? Whereas Jared Anderson, he can punch, but he's more of a volume puncher. He's a pressure fighter. Anyway, overall, still very good performance. I mean, he passed the test. This was a step-up fight for him. But we also got to remember, Charles Martin was a replacement, and as no matter how good a shape he was in, I'm sure with even more time, they both might have had better game plans or whatever, but they did what they did with the time that they had. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't like a week or two. It was like a 3-week, replacement, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, Jared Anderson, still my favorite up-and-coming heavyweight. I still think he beats a lot of guys in that area. You got Arslan Beck, you got like Wardley, some of those guys. I still think he wins against, but we just gotta wait and see what happens. Arslan Beck was on the undercard. Maybe we get that fight. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe these guys say, all right, maybe we shouldn't put him in there with him after this. You know what I mean? We'll see. It's not a bad performance. It just wasn't as good as we thought it was gonna be. I know I expected a knockout, but many people, just wasn't that impressed. All right, and that's cool. Anyway, I'm out of here, man. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.